myself that Chad can't be here. So we need to do two things today. One of them is pretty straightforward. We need to elect a new chair and a new recorder. And then we need to go over the charter. And I hope all of you had a chance to look at it. Andrew made some suggested changes, and I made some suggested changes. And if you want, we can go through it pretty systematically. It's only a few pages to see if we accept the changes. But I think the most straightforward thing is going to be to just hold an election. And let me go through here. I recently read this, and I didn't read anything about a quorum. But if we need a quorum, we are nowhere near a quorum. Anybody have any strong feeling about electing our next set of leadership with so few people at the meeting?
It's a weird situation, Jackie. I don't really, and I think you probably feel the same way, why it's so confusing, but it's like the other person who was nominated for chair isn't here, and
that's right.
And then poor Chad is gone. I don't feel like there's a really good option. But also we scheduled this meeting to do all this stuff. Do you think, as a recorder, we could go through the charter together? And then what do you think? Because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6 voting members. I don't know.
I agree with you. And when you look at this list here, I'm looking at just from the OU side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. I mean, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 people, theoretically, not including the chiefs. And if we only have 5 people here, yeah, we can't responsibly. Yeah, Mary Catherine, you are completely right.
So do you think, because I know I saw the edits that you and Chief made, I believe, and we could go through that and then have that be our business for today.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you. So Kim, let me tell you, this is really easy to take minutes on, because you can just say that I feel guilty dumping this on you. Basically, you can just say we had so few people, we couldn't elect new leadership, but we are going over the charter. And I have it here in front of me. I don't know if others of you do. I know so little about Zoom. I have no idea how to put this in the chat. Do you have any idea, Catherine?
Yes. Give me just 1 second to go on my email. I can actually, do you want me to share it on ours? I can share it if you want, or just put it in the chat first. I'll look over individually. What would you like?
That's a great idea. Share it on the screen, and then I can go through it section by section.
Okay, give me just 1 minute, and I'll pull it up.
Mary Catherine, you might need to be made host to be able to share your screen. No.
I think all of us can share our screen. All the panelists.
Let me pull it up, and then someone can confirm they can see it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you'll notice under authority, where I had the note, do we want to change this? And what I was referring to is I had no idea that the council's day-to-day operations are coordinated under the direction of the city's service safety director, which I was kind of aware of, but the university's vice president for finance and administration, who is Deb Schaefer, and I bet she doesn't even know that. So
no, she does know that.
Oh, she does.
Yeah. The reason that was written that way is that those are the 2 positions to whom each of the chiefs report. I report to Deb Schaefer. Tom reports to the service safety director.
Okay. Then it makes total sense. Okay. So we can forget about that. Then under contact information, Andrew, let's see. Oh no, I had added something. 3A, those seeking to submit issues, and I put 3 words of public concern to the council. Because I wasn't to submit issues. That kind of meant nothing. So I wanted to say a public concern. Does anyone have any objection to that change?
No.
Okay, so we can say that those three words will be added. Okay.
And then, Jackie, will you take, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Will you take notes and then send that to the group? Because ours is not like a universal document, so I don't want to edit this and then us.
Yes. I just made a note that we're okay to add those three words. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. The next change I have is under, let's see. Oh yeah. Under contact information. Yeah. Chief Powers just changed the address, which shouldn't even be worth talking about. Okay. Under section 4, charge, under B, it says recognizing that a few police-related concerns, and then the original read, recognizing that few police-related concerns are confined to either the campus or the city alone. I simply added recognizing that few police-related concerns in a rural university town are confined to either the campus or the city alone, because you could be at the University of Chicago or Northwestern University and no one cares in town who the police force is necessarily. So I just added those words in a rural university town because they really are conjoined, the two forces. Is that okay to put in? Any objections? Okay, so that section is added. Then the next changes were C6. What did I put? Oh, so it reads, recommending programs that improve relations between Ohio University and the broader Athens community and support community-based activities. This is under issues the council may consider, include but are not limited to. So I guess under number 6, I had put, do we want to provide some examples? And let me read that again. Issues the council may consider include but are not limited to. And then number 6, recommending programs that improve relations between Ohio University and the broader Athens community and support community-based activities. I'm not even sure what that means. Recommending and support community-based
Well, it
activities.
refers to things like the barbecue, the Ask the Chiefs events that have been held, the annual safety tour that is done.
Okay, then I see what we need to, I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that those are kind of one-off or annual programs, but I don't think this was written to be as expansive as possible, so it wasn't meant to limit people. So I think the only concern I would have with examples is that the most obvious examples to include that I just gave kind of circumscribe some limits around the thinking of this, and programs might be more ongoing, I can't think of an example right now, but I think the idea was not to try and limit people, but to say that this group would help with whatever programs may be suggested that would help to improve relations. And those could be very dynamic.
Okay, so I agree. Examples wouldn't be appropriate here. But you know what also confused me is that I didn't understand, the verbs didn't connect. Recommending with the ing, and then it says, and support community-based activities. I think that should be number 7. I think part of the duties should be number 6, recommending programs, and then number 7, supporting community-based activities.
That makes sense to me. That sounds better, I think. A little clearer.
I feel, because I think, especially with the committee support of Take Back the Night and other initiatives that are happening for the city, I think that I'd be okay with that. Okay, so I'm gonna put a number 7 here. Supporting community-based activities. Okay. So the next thing we have is under membership. The chief of police from the city of Athens and the chief of police from Ohio University shall both be permanent,
I added non-voting members of the council, because that's true, isn't it? Isn't it, Andrew, that you two are non-voting?
Correct, we are. I thought that was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It may be somewhere else where it talks about elections or whatever. I don't know, but yes, non-voting.
It
is
wouldn't
correct.
hurt to have it there too.
No, I don't think it's fine.
Okay. And then under B, let's see. So currently, B, other members shall be appointed by the president of Ohio University or the mayor of the city of Athens, comma, depending on the communities that appointees will represent. Because I didn't think that I think that there should be something describing why one or the other. It should be obvious, but that I added that wording, depending on the communities that appointees will represent. So meaning the OU president will appoint people from the university. The mayor of Athens will appoint people from Athens City.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it in there. I think that is spelled out down below.
Okay.
Where it lists who appoints whom, but it doesn't hurt. I don't see any harm in it.
And will serve for a term of 3 academic years, August 1st to July 31st. And then I added that can be renewed once, except for the student members who will serve a term of 1 academic year that can also be renewed once. Is that okay that we add that people can, and I think that is somewhere else too, that you can serve 2 consecutive 3-year terms or 2 consecutive 1-year terms.
Yeah, I don't remember the part about, I can't remember what I do know it's addressed somewhere else in here. And I think that was actually some of the language that was proposed in 2018. I was the one that transcribed it, but to be clear, all of the original additions and changes that I sent to you, the group, Jackie, that you worked from, I wasn't responsible for those. I just kind of transcribed what had been discussed back in 2018.
Ah, okay. So is everyone okay with that? 2 consecutive terms for everyone? Yeah. Students, it's 3 years, so 6 years total, and students can be 2 years total.
I think the only thing which I didn't do when I read through this is just to make sure that aligns with whatever language is elsewhere in the charter. And as long as we don't have a conflict anywhere, that I think it's fine. Yeah,
good point. And we'll keep going through it to see. Okay, so I'll mark that as okay.
It looks like it lines up when we get down to F, down in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I started trying to scroll this document and realized it's not my document. I'm scrolling.
Let's see. So it looks like a few things were deleted, but of almost no consequence. Let's see. So under C, it just lists the people appointed by the president of OU, one member of faculty senate, 1 member of classified senate, 1 member of administrative senate, a member at large. I don't know if we've ever had,
yeah, we do.
We do. Okay. 2 members of Student Senate, 2 members of the Division of Student Affairs, a representative engaged in victims advocacy or support services, and a representative of minority or other underrepresented constituents. So we're okay with that section.
Yeah. The only thing, Jackie, I don't know is what the status of classified senate is with the organization of the AFSCME bargaining unit.
Right. Does anyone know that?
I have heard that they're still in conversation, and at least in admin senate, there's been conversation about it, and they are still awaiting the final contract.
Okay. So I guess, I guess we have to leave that the way it is until there's a change.
I do have on C5, it says 2 members of Student Senate, and not that I have an issue with that. I know that I started on the council as graduate student
That's right.
representation, and we do not have that and on this list of people, and that was of interest, especially from like off-campus voices. So
Let me suggest this, because I just noticed that there are a few more representatives from the community than the university. Why don't we add, say, 2 members from the undergraduate senate and 1 member from the graduate senate, since there are fewer graduate students? Should we add that and specifically say 2 members of the undergraduate student senate?
So that was originally part of it, I think. Some of these changes were made in 2018 because the stipulations in were so specific that they weren't able to fill them. So I believe that Student Senate required that one had to live off campus, one had to live on campus, and that became problematic, I guess, for Student Senate to fill those 2 seats. So that language was deleted. I think that traditionally it's ended up being, well, so initially when the group was first organized, I don't believe Grad Student Senate had anybody and didn't, I don't remember them being engaged in the process. At some point, one of the Student Senate reps happened to be, it was Eddie Smith, I think, was a graduate student member of Graduate Student Senate. And so I think the language was written so that it could be either, depending on how or who was available. And because what was happening is we didn't have people that were specific enough to fill the seat. And so we were ending up with vacant seats on JPAC because there just wasn't someone to put in them. So the idea was to try and make it a little broader so there was more flexibility. And if there wasn't somebody available from the, off and on campus, for example, then we could put 2 people in there that were both on campus just so that we didn't have the empty seats.
Yeah, I understand that. I think the leadership is 2 different groups and not necessarily everyone, like they ask both, and most of the other committees on in the university and outside, they usually have seats for both representation. I think the experiences of the 2 groups are very drastically different, and I think it would be of help to have someone from that graduate population. When we have this list that says Student Senate, then we reach out only to Student Senate to fill that seat, or the president's office only reaches out to Student Senate to fill that seat. And then it's we don't get the representation from graduate students.
Yeah, so I think that right now, the way it's set up, and it was pretty intentional, there should be 10 representatives, 10 voting representatives from both communities in order for there to be parity. And I think there's 10 from the university and there's 10 from the city, because there's 2 lines in the university that have 2 members, and there's only 1 line that has 2 members for the city.
Okay, so when I added the graduate student, a member of the graduate, so should I say 1 member of the undergraduate student senate and 1 member of the graduate student senate?
I would recommend that so you can get those 2 bodies represented.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the other possibility is if classified senate won't have a representative, then a graduate student could replace that seat, and that would keep it balanced. And I just don't know what's happening once there's a contract in place, what classified senate's role is going to be.
Well, why don't we, for now, just say 1 from undergrad senate and 1 from grad, and we can revisit it. Depending on what we might do, if classified senate disappears, then we can go back and say 2 from undergraduate senate and 1 from graduate senate to keep it even.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Under D, the mayor of the city of Athens shall appoint. Number 4, I simply said 2 at-large members with emphasis on the neighborhood associations. Before it read 2 members of the neighborhood associations. Or maybe it should still say that. No.
Yeah, I think that was. I think I would be hesitant to comment on the city appointments without Tom here, because I think that there was a deliberate intention to incorporate the neighborhood associations.
Many of them aren't really functioning anymore.
Oh,
Sarah,
okay.
you're on here.
Sarah's here. So yeah, I'll back away and let Sarah comment on the city.
Sorry. I was like the language that I had was 2 members of the neighborhood association executive committees, and many of the neighborhoods don't really have associations with active executive committees. So I would think that perhaps, just keeping it with 2 at-large members with an emphasis on different city neighborhoods or city neighborhood involvement, something like that, rather than going, especially, I think we need to remove the executive committee portion of it.
That's been removed. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Two at-large so I like that, Sarah. 2 at-large members with emphasis on city neighborhood involvement.
I think that sounds good.
So Sarah, from what you're saying, also I heard more like you don't want from the same neighborhood association 2 people. You want from different. So maybe,
if possible, I think it would be ideal if they could be from different neighborhoods rather than, say 2 from the Far East, because we're going to get very different voices. If we have perhaps someone from West Side or near North or.
Okay, how about this? 2 at-large members with emphasis on involvement in 2 different city neighborhoods? Or how about,
just in different city neighborhoods?
2 at-large members from 2 different city neighborhoods? Or,
that works for me.
Okay, 2 at-large members from 2 different city neighborhoods. Okay with everybody? Okay, then a member of the Athens Chamber of Commerce is 5. 6, an at-large member with emphasis on the service community. Number 7, at-large with emphasis on the commuter community. That is someone who works in Athens but lives outside the city. 8, an at-large member with emphasis on victims advocacy or support services. And number 9, an at-large member representing minority or other underrepresented constituents. So does all that sound good?
I think so.
Okay, and then E, appointments, I just added to fill vacancies, will normally be made each summer. And F, at the conclusion of 2 3-year terms, a member of the council may not serve in the same representative role on the council again for at least 3 years. So I take that to mean that if someone, for example, was the faculty senate rep, but then suddenly became the rep in the with a rep from the commuter community, they could serve more than 6 years in a row. Is that what that means?
Yes, that was the way it was written. It was revised to permit that. Yes. Okay. And so I'm wondering if how that squares up with the modification you made earlier about 2 3-year terms, because I think your previous statement was fairly conclusive, and that may be in conflict with this, because if it previously says you can only serve 2 3-year terms, period, and then this says you can only serve 2 3-year terms in the same representative capacity, those don't quite align. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure I do. So let me go back. Where was that?
The B?
That was 2B? No.
Yeah, it was B.
5B.
Or 5B, yeah.
let's see.
I don't have it open on my own. Mary,
Yeah.
Catherine, are you controlling it? Can you scroll up?
Well, what do you guys think about that? Because I really think that the committee could use new blood, so to speak. That we could use good turnover, new voices. We could use new voices. So do we want to just delete that exception?
So I can tell you that the reason it was brought up in 2018 was again because the mayor and the president were having difficulty filling seats. And so there were people willing to serve, but they were time limited. They were done with their 6 years. And so Toby Stock did exactly what you just described. He was the faculty senate rep for, I think, 6 years, and then he became the commuter rep for another 3 or 6 years. I don't remember how long he was. Well, it couldn't have been. No, it's not been around that long. But I know he served that. I mean, if I had to put a name on it, that's the Toby Stock clause that was written at the time so that, people who were engaged and came to the meetings regularly and were, interested in remaining active with JPAC could circumvent the 6-year time limit. Essentially, that's what it was written for.
Okay, do we want to revisit then 5B and make it compatible with that exception? So currently it reads, other members shall be appointed by the president of Ohio University or the mayor of the city of Athens, depending on the communities that appointees will represent, and will serve for a term of 3 academic years. 3 academic years. And we can just say in that particular capacity that can be renewed once. And that can be implied.
Well, so the way it's written, it defines what a term is. 5B defines a term as being 3 academic years or 1 for students. And then further down, it describes how many terms a person can serve, instead of trying to do both in one sentence.
Okay, so I should get rid of, back to 5B, get rid of that can be renewed once for both the students and the...
I think that would, in my opinion, that would just make it cleaner. That way we define what a term is in 5B, and then later in the charter, it talks about how many terms you can serve.
Okay, I'm getting rid of that.
Do we want to specify when we're going down to talk about how many terms, full terms, because that's what has come up where somebody is appointed to finish.
Yeah.
Which apparently I was.
Yeah, I was too.
I think I'm in my second term now, but I've only served 4 years. I think I'm at the end of my second term, but I've only served 4 years.
So I would suggest that that's a good idea to define that, because that has become a confusing point. But I would think, again, that maybe further down where it talks about how many terms you can serve, maybe we add a bullet or something in there that talks about that's full terms, and that a partial term served to complete someone else's term doesn't count toward that or something.
And let's put that under F, under 5, where are we? Under 5F.
Yeah.
Where it says, at the conclusion of 2 3-year terms, a member of the council may not serve in the same representative role on the council, again, for at least 3 years.
I would just make it as easy as possible and say council members can serve 2 successive full terms, and maybe take out that for up to 6 years. So then it's like, well, you can finish out another term, but we don't even need to say that. If we just specify that it's 2 full terms.
Yes, at the conclusion of 2 full 3-year terms, a member of the council may not serve in the same representative role on the council, again, for at least 3 years. Now, do we need to clarify and say if you only served a partial term? I know that's the way one of the amendments to the U.S. Constitution reads. The one about you can only serve 2 4-year terms as president, but if you partially do, you can actually serve for 3 terms. If you come in the middle, like Lyndon Johnson did, he could have served for 3 terms. I should have looked at that wording in the U.S. Constitution.
So I'm thinking in terms of future, if we have to make changes in the future, I don't know that I would include 3-year terms in letter F. I think I would say at the conclusion of 2 full
terms.
Period. Because that way it applies to both students and it applies same way, and we're not tying it to the number of years, and then we don't have to. If we change the length of a term at some point in the future, we don't have to change this language as well.
So can I add to F and say any member who served only a partial term?
I think you could just put a simple sentence that says partial terms do not count toward the time limit or something.
Do not count toward the 2-term time limit.
Yeah.
Okay, I just added that to F. Partial terms do not count toward the 2-term time limit.
So I was hoping to have some discussion, or at least brief discussion, around the phrase "in the same representative role." I know Chief Powers talked about how that was added because of finding people to serve on the council, and then Jackie, you talked about how it's good to get different opinions and new blood on the council. I think saying that also limits us, like, so someone can serve for, like, potentially someone can serve on the council forever and just change roles, and we won't be ever able to get new voices, and it can become a very closed group, and multiple people can do that, right? And so I'm wondering how we circumvent that, so that we are still open to having new people at the table as issues evolve.
I mean, the only way we could do that is to take out the phrase "in the same representative role."
Or we could add, so we allow for a Toby situation where somebody serves 2 terms in one role and then 1 term we could add a maximum number of terms that, like, you can't serve more than a total of 7 consecutive years or 9 consecutive years or whatever number we want to put in there. We could just put a maximum.
Well, yeah. So I think that to keep it, I mean, my recommendation or my thought is, in terms of keeping it simple, then maybe either we make it two terms or 3 terms, and just not worry about sort of gerrymandering who they represent, so to speak. If we decide that, if the council decides that they want to limit terms to 3 terms, then why not just make it 3 terms instead of forcing the person to be changed into a different role or something? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, because I see both sides of what we're saying here, because we could have a council member that's a wonderful person that is 100% involved all the time, and we would want to keep them around, right? We're saying this is a great person that does a great job. Or we could have somebody on there that's on there, but it just continues to be on there, but maybe we would want to hear a different voice. So how do we approach that, and have that option to say, listen, we know you want to just stay on here, but we are looking for some new voices. And I think that's, a legit concern. So how do we, I'm in favor of just saying you could just have 2 or 3 terms and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing that I know was written into the formation of a different commission was that members may be removed after 3 consecutive missed meetings.
Ooh. I like that one.
Now that puts some, like, as Chief Powers was saying, like, the reason some of these tweaks are in here is because sometimes it's hard to find people to volunteer. And when you serve on different committees or commissions, you soon start seeing the same faces, just because the same people are willing to volunteer. So
I mean, I like that idea. And again, I'm not actually obviously a voting member, so I'm just offering my, kind of observations from having been affiliated with or involved in the group since the beginning. But I would be a little concerned that putting that stringent of a requirement in there could end up, it could end up being the death knell for the group as a whole. I mean, it could end up with so many people getting removed that there's nobody or only a handful of people left, and because there's no. I mean, I know that we've struggled. Not we, but I mean the mayor and the president have struggled at times to fill some of these vacancies. And if we start kicking people off and then don't have people to replace them, the group's going to whittle away quickly. I mean, the attendance tonight is case in point, unfortunately.
But let me point out that if that really happens, that means the group has been whittled away anyway.
Well, that's true.
yeah, if people aren't showing up, then they're not really
And
participating.
frankly, I don't think we're going to have trouble filling. I mean, there's so much interest now in the police nationwide that
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have a problem filling seats anymore on this committee. I really don't.
Well, maybe the language could simply be permissive instead of requirement. So, because I think it is fair if somebody has an extended illness that has been extremely engaged and misses 3 meetings because of that, they shouldn't necessarily automatically be removed, I wouldn't think. So maybe saying that they may be removed.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Okay, so I'm getting rid of in the same representative role, because it sounds like we decided 6 years is enough, unless, they started with a partial term, that people really do need to rotate off for at least 3 years after they've done two terms and a partial term. And then I'm going to add under, I'm going to make G, we're going to have a G and an H. So G is going to say, if a member, this is 3 JPAC meetings.
And the other one is consecutive.
Consecutive, yeah.
But then it's if it's 3 consecutive without an excused absence, they shall automatically cease to be a member. So that's just like language wise in terms of what is in another city commission.
Meetings without what was the wording you said, Sarah?
Well, I don't know if that's what we want or not. But without an excused absence, which gets really bonkers with adults, really.
3 consecutive JPAC meetings, they may be removed from the council.
Or considered for removal, something.
Okay, they may be considered but considered by who though?
Yeah, I think I would just say may be removed, and that would be the appointing authority that would be able to remove them.
They may be removed from the council. Okay, and then H, a member of the council who resigns or who can no longer serve due to a change in status may be replaced by the authority who appointed the member, either the Athens mayor or the Ohio University president. We just added a few words to clarify that. So now we're on 6.
Actually, before we move on to 6, I just want to 5E that says appointments to fill vacancies will normally be made each summer. So when the charter was originally written, that was intended to be that obviously the terms are filled each summer. The appointments for a full term are made each summer. But the way that's written there now says that if somebody vacates mid-year, they won't be replaced until the summer.
That's right.
and we have had mid-year replacements. People have been replaced. In fact, typically that's what's happened when somebody resigns. If they've had to resign for some reason, usually the appointing authority tries to replace them immediately. So I just think it's worth thinking about that language to make sure that there's not an unintended consequence by wording it the way it's been worded.
So how about this? Appointments to fill vacancies must be made each summer, but may be made earlier. But
Do we even need that if we already have specified when the terms are?
Yeah.
Do we need to say
Yeah.
when the appointments happen? Because if
That's
it's
Well,
for a new term, it just happens before that term starts.
Yeah, and
Well, I guess I'm thinking if somebody dropped off, though, would we want to just, if somebody just dropped off, or we want to say appointments will be made as vacancies become available? Because somebody could leave in the middle of the year for maybe they moved out of town.
Right.
It's obvious that they would become available at the end of each term. That's for certain. But if something just became open, then appointments will be made as that became available, as that vacancy opens up.
But wouldn't that be considered in H, like the newly, like on this document G, that says a member of the council who resigns or can no longer serve?
Unfortunately, the way that's written, it only gives the appointing authority the authority to replace them. It doesn't speak to when, and E sort of stipulates when appointments.
So if we delete E and then in G said, if a vacancy occurs because a member of the council resigns or can no longer serve, that vacancy may be filled, whatever.
Well,
In
wait a minute. But we don't have to delete E because it doesn't say must be made each summer. It just says will normally be made each summer. But then, as Sarah was starting to point out, we could make an exception in H. If a vacancy happens midterm, that wouldn't contradict E.
Well, to me, I guess when I think of the word normally, and I mean, I'm obviously thinking about it from the perspective of writing a police policy. Normally means this is what's expected unless there's a truly exceptional circumstance. Now, maybe that's not how it reads to everybody else in the real world, but that's that's when we write police policies, normally is intended to provide very, very, very limited sort of discretion. But it is intended to provide some discretion. Now, I think you're right. I suppose with the exception being spelled out in G, I think simply adding the word immediately to the end of that sentence, that a member of the council who resigns or who can no longer serve due to a change in status may be replaced, and actually you could put it in there, may be replaced immediately by the authority who appointed that member.
That's what I'll do. And I'll say who resigns midterm or who can no longer serve due to a change in status may be replaced immediately by the authority who appointed that member.
Yeah, and then and then E really applies to full-term appointments. Will normally be made each summer.
If you just change E to say full-term appointments, will normally be made each summer. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good suggestion. Full-term appointments will normally be made each summer. Full-term appointments to fill vacancies will normally be made each summer. Okay, so organization reporting. So let me explain what I did with this. Originally, it said that chairs, which we haven't abided by at all since I've been a member, chairs and recorders would only serve 1 year. And so this says shall elect a chair at the August meeting each year. And originally it said they could only serve one term. But having been the recorder, you barely get the hang of it the first year. I think if people want to be chair or recorder for up to 3 years, I think that should be allowable. No longer than that. So what I added was the council shall elect a chair at the August meeting each year. A chair may serve no longer than 3 consecutive terms. And when a new chair is elected, the chair must alternate between city and university representatives and get rid of that whole confusing thing about odd and even years. Whenever we elect a new person, even if it's after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, it has to alternate between city and university. And the same with the recorder.
So
what I'm reading on the screen says a chair may serve no longer than 3 consecutive years. But what you read, Jackie, said terms.
Oh, I'm sorry. It has years here. I read the wrong thing. 3 consecutive.
Because I think years is better. Otherwise, it starts getting confused with the terms that you're appointed to the council. So. Yes.
And 3 years is plenty for a chair. Just like, we need new voices. We need a new chair. We need a new recorder.
So the chair has to be within the term limits as well, right?
Within their own term limits, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a given. Okay. I don't even think we have to.
And then my second point was about the August meeting of each year. I know, having been on this council for the last few years, August is the time when all new members are coming in. And also the barbecue, and a lot of that planning, at least 2 years in the past that we've had it, happen during summer months. So I think if we want to really keep up the momentum around that, it would be helpful to have the chair elected before we go on break for summer.
I think you're right. I think we should do it at the last meeting of the academic year, which is probably April. Is that what you meant, Maria?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The council is that okay with everybody else too?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, the council shall elect a chair. Just say April at the April meeting, and not even talk about the last meeting of the year. Just say the April meeting.
Then if there are extra meetings like this year.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the April, or like naming a month.
Okay.
Versus like saying the last meeting of the academic spring semester or academic year, just because in the past, I think April meetings have been canceled because of Take Back the Night.
That's true.
So I'm concerned about naming April or calling out April.
Well, then say at the last meeting of the academic year.
Or even the last regular meeting of the just so it's like, well, if we call the Take Back the Night our April meeting because everyone is encouraged to go or something, just to make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
So okay, so what should I type here at the
last regular
meeting of the academic year? Okay, and the same for recorder too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think we're almost done. The only other changes are under 6. Yeah. Also under 6E. In the spring of each year, if requested, has been added. If requested, the chiefs of police shall prepare a written summary of the council's activities for the previous year for the president and the mayor. That's a pretty harmless change.
Yeah, it was because it's never been requested. And quite honestly, Tom and I said, do we I mean, I don't even remember how that got into the charter originally, but no one's ever actually requested a written report or summary. And so it was kind of like this requirement that was for nothing. So,
Well, if you have minutes with each meeting, I don't know why you would need a final report.
Agree.
And then under seven meetings, I just changed the council from 4 times a year to 5. 4 seems so, especially, I guess, just because so much is going on now, it seems like 4 times isn't enough. So I just changed it to 5, if that's okay with everyone. Meeting at least 5 times between August and April every year. And we've been meeting much more than that. In fact, last summer we met, I think, 3 or 4 times. And normally we don't even meet during the summer.
Yeah, it has, in fairness, just to provide some historical perspective, it has ebbed and flowed over the course of JPAC's existence, and certainly in years when there's been more to talk about, the meetings have happened more frequently. In years where there was not much going on, the group as a whole just, canceled meetings, and so it was set at 4 because you can always have more meetings. But if it's being established as a minimum, then you've got to have at least that many. And there were some years where that seemed to be burdensome to some of the members of the council. So again, these weren't necessarily from me, I was the one that transcribed these, and I'm just explaining where they came from when they were brought up.
So it looks like we're done. Anybody have anything else that they noticed or? Good job. Good job. I want us to pat everyone needs a pat on the back. Good job.
We will need to update the revision date at the bottom there. I just noticed that.
I just did. Yes. 6/3/2021. And I will get this. I will accept all changes. I will circulate this to everybody to get everyone's final okay. Should we formally vote on this now?
I don't think we can do any voting if we don't have quorum.
Except there's nothing in the charter about having a quorum.
I think we have to still follow the rules of a public meeting.
Yeah, that's a point.
Should there be?
Sure.
Should there be something in there that says that if not a quorum, that there needs to be at least X number of people or something?
Oh, I think that would be very dangerous. I think we would almost never meet, or we would have to cancel meeting after meeting.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that in order to have the meeting that there has to be a quorum, but I'm suggesting that that rather than it relying on the goodwill of everybody to say that 6 isn't enough, there's actually something in there that says that, voting for anything that requires a vote has to have at least however many people.
So, okay. And we can put that under number 7 meetings.
Or maybe even like a percentage, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least 51% of the members. Okay. So let's do 7. Let's see. I'll add a 7D that says,
Do you want me to read language from another one, Jackie?
sure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
It says, a quorum for the commission shall consist of a simple majority of the members. A majority vote of the full voting membership is necessary to take any official action. Voting may be done by being present at the meeting, by real-time conferencing, or by proxy vote.
Okay, let's say a quorum of the commission shall consist of a simple majority of the members. This is
Except
7.
this group is a council, not a commission. I'm pulling language from a commission.
I knew that. I knew we were a council. Okay, a quorum of the council shall consist of a simple majority of the members. And what was that phrase about a vote?
Then the one thing that has come up in that commission is when you have vacancies. So we should probably make it clearer for the council. Do we want the quorum to be a simple majority of all the total number or a
No.
simple majority of
Of the
current member?
Current members. Otherwise, we're going to wait forever for the OU president to appoint someone. Consist of a simple majority of the current members.
And then the next one says a majority vote of the full voting membership is necessary to take any official action.
Of the full voting membership.
So I don't know if that's what we want for this council or not, because that means we would need to have a majority vote of however many eligible voters there are, whether they're at the meeting or not, for something to be approved.
Well, we very rarely vote on anything. So why don't we say a majority vote of the full voting membership is necessary to take any action that requires a vote, which is almost never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically the election of the officers.
That's right. Or to the charter.
Or amendments to the charter. Is there any value in spelling out, as in the commission language that Sarah shared, about what form that vote can take? I mean, do we want to allow email votes? Do we want to, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have a dog fight one way or the other, but again, it's something that's come up in the past is if we're going to vote, how are we going to do it? Are we going to allow email votes, proxy votes, that kind of thing?
Well, here's my position on that. And I feel the same way in whether it's the faculty senate or a department meeting, that you can change your vote based on the discussion. I think people need to be present in order to vote. That's what I believe, no matter what part of a thing I'm part of, whether it's a department meeting. I don't think there should be proxy votes. I don't think there should be email votes. I think you need to be at a meeting in order to vote.
So maybe by being present at the meeting by real-time conference or by real-time conferencing. So if we go back to in-person meetings, but we've got someone on the phone or in on Zoom.
Yeah.
That counts as real-time conferencing.
I think that's fine. So how do we word that? Is necessary to take any action that requires a vote. Members must be present or conferenced in order to vote.
Could we have except for extenuating circumstances addendum, just because what if someone's ill, or what if someone is in the hospital? Because they should still get to vote. Maybe really excited about chair.
Mm-hmm. We can vote on that, but I would vote no on that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but then if they're sick, then let them conference in. They don't have to be present. I really think, and again, we vote so seldom.
But I think one of the things is also we don't decide when we vote. So we don't give prior notice, tomorrow at this meeting, we're going to vote on XYZ. Or we don't have
another reason why you have to be present. That's a reason you have to be present.
Yeah. I mean, people might choose to change their priorities to be at a meeting if they knew there was going to be an important vote. But I also wanted to bring up the topic about proxy, because I know we've used proxies in the past, but I don't think there's any language around proxies in the bylaws as such.
Well, actually, I think that would be okay because I know, Kim, you've used proxies before just to attend the meeting representing your constituency. But as long as appointed proxies at a meeting, what do people think about that? That could be a way around it, Mary Catherine, if someone appointed a proxy, from your office.
I just think about just making sure we're as accessible as possible. We want to make sure people are dedicated and honoring that, but being accessible just in case something someone might be super jazzed about voting, but honestly something might come up, but we could have proxies. I'm really okay with that.
Okay. Is that okay with everyone? If a member is unable to attend the meeting, they can appoint a proxy to attend in their place.
Because if someone's that concerned, they'll send somebody.
Okay.
You want to say attend and vote so that it's clear that the proxies are allowed to vote?
They may appoint a proxy to vote in their place.
And I know as we are transitioning back to being in person mostly. I also wonder if the web version of these meetings will completely go away but for some, this is convenient. And so do we have to specify if our meetings are in person,
They're always public meetings. People can come to the meeting, but I think we can assume that if people want to come, they have to come. I can't imagine that they're going to keep supporting us. I mean, certainly, I did put in here, members must be present or conferenced in online to vote, but that would mean that we would have a computer open, in the room where we're meeting, and someone can Zoom in or Teams in. But as far as the public is concerned, that's not even up to us because, right now the city is supporting our online stuff by giving us these Zoom forums. But I can't imagine the city's going to keep doing that. We've had people come to our meetings. The public's always invited.
I do wonder, just as if we're going to make real-time conferencing as something mentioned in the charter, then would it be appropriate, even once we are meeting in person, to still have the Zoom interface set up for every meeting so that if for some reason something comes up and prevents somebody from attending, but they would be able to Zoom in, that the infrastructure is already in place to do that?
Let's get rid of this conferenced in, especially since we just agreed that anyone can appoint a proxy. So I think you're right, Andrew, just mentioning conferencing in or Zoom meetings might be a problem. So what if it read like this? A quorum of the council shall consist of a simple majority of the current members. A majority vote of the full voting membership is necessary to take any action that requires a vote. Members must be present to vote. If a member is unable to attend a meeting, they may appoint a proxy to vote in their place. And just get rid of that mention about conferencing in.
I think that's valuable to have in, though, because what we were saying is what Mary Catherine was saying. If someone is ill or has had surgery, they could attend themselves through conferencing rather than appointing a proxy. And that might be preferable to have the standing member in via Zoom or even just on speakerphone to listen to the discussion. And as far as future city support for Zoom meetings, what I have heard as far as city council is that they think that it will be very difficult to manage partial in-person and partial Zoom in the same way that they're putting the Zoom meetings up publicly now to manage that with some people in person and some people on Zoom would be very difficult to do. So if we have some people meeting in person, then I think the public would be invited to join in person, but we could still have members who, if they have health problems or reasons to not come in person, some of our members could join by Zoom, but it wouldn't be, I'm guessing it would not be on a publicly broadcast city platform.
Okay, I just put that back in. Members must be present or conferenced in to vote. If a member is unable to attend a meeting, they may appoint a proxy to vote in their place.
So I think the discussion, if I can interrupt, I think the discussion that we're having here is the discussion of 2021 is how are we getting back to normal? And, what we're talking about is, are we going to get together and have meetings? I mean, personally, I hate this. I would love to just be sitting in the conference room with everybody right now, but are we going to, but I know on other boards, they're discussing this exact same thing of, are we going to have all in-person meetings where everybody comes, or are we all going to have in-person meetings where we bring our laptop and we put it in front of us and we're all basically Zooming at the table, because that way we can include the 3 people who can't be there, who can be sitting at their kitchen table, still part of the meeting. We would all be, 7 of us might be sitting at the table doing what we're doing right now with each other, but 4 or 5 might still be at home doing it. And how are we going to proceed with that in the future? I'm all for, I'd go tomorrow to all in-person meetings if we could do that, but obviously, you look at the university, you look at all around, there's a lot of people who are saying, that's not what I want to do just yet, or anytime maybe this year. How are we going to proceed with this?
I think another thought to consider specifically with a group that deals with police issues like this one is that these Zoom meetings have created a level of transparency and access for people. And it may be difficult to move back away from that. And I don't know that this group particularly is one that I would want to advocate making it more difficult for the public to engage and attend and participate and hear these meetings. I would personally advocate much more transparency.
I amplify that, Chief. I think I like, as much as in-person is amazing, I think it does. The online environment has had so many challenges, but for a lot of folks, it is a way for them to access certain spaces, have these conversations and be involved in that way, whether the folks have disabilities or health concerns, or honestly can't get in to come to a meeting. So I totally, it's, you're so right. It is going to be the theme from now until probably another 2 years, right? Where we're figuring out what works for folks. How can we kind of merge these two worlds now? But I think it is nice to know that folks can, especially on I know we're on Facebook too, I believe. And so folks can, I know, have been scrolling and like, will message you and say, oh, I see you on Facebook. So they can participate in that way as well, which is kind of neat.
I think we've resolved the issue from the charter perspective by including the ability to conference in. And I think we can probably kick the can down the road a little further as far as what the future of these meetings looks like in terms of remote access for the public.
So my question initially was going to be, since Jackie, you asked anything else that we should add into the charter. My question was, in Section 7 under meetings, should we specify that meetings can be in person and by video conferencing? Because I don't think there is a specification. I don't know if it's needed, but the charter is also supposed to be for transparency and for folks to know that we can do it in both ways, and how we would communicate about that. So, but if you all don't think that needs to be in there, that's fine too.
Well, since it says meetings will be held at a location of the council's choosing, I think that covers it.
You could add the word location and or format, I guess, if you want to make it even broader.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Maria? 7E, meetings will be held at a location and in a format of the council's choosing.
Yep. Sounds good.
Should I clarify what format means? Like in parentheses, in person or online, or is that just getting too detailed?
I think it's fine to be vague.
Okay. Okay. So does this mean we're done?
So
We did it. We did it.
We did it. This is a really good job, everybody.
So we have to vote on this.
So what does that mean as far as the officers? Because now I believe we've revised the charter to say that we should have done this like in March or something.
I think we also revised it to say that Chad can just keep on serving, as far as I can tell.
Oh. We are in desperate need of a new recorder. Desperate need. Yeah, this is a problem. And it's, and I'm worried about the summer, because I think with every passing month, fewer and fewer people are going to be in town until school starts again. How many of us are on now? We still don't have anywhere near a quorum, do we?
How many people are supposed to be here per our new charter?
20.
No, but that's some of those are vacant seats.
Oh, right. So they wouldn't count. I don't even know what seats are vacant. I think Chad might know, but I have no idea. So I don't know. Maybe we do have a quorum.
I don't think we had that many vacancies, but we do have quite a few.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I think the city has a website somewhere that has the current membership listed on it because Patty Whitmer has been kind of keeping up on that, I think.
Would it be worth going through each category and seeing if we have a quorum? Like who is the faculty senate rep? That's me, so I'm here. Classified senate, who's the rep from?
That's a vacant seat.
Okay, so that doesn't even count. Okay, so far, what about administrative senate?
That's a vacant seat.
Okay, so maybe we do have a quorum. Member at large from the university. I don't think that's been filled.
Is that you, Mary Catherine?
No, she's the underrepresented minorities. What about a member? I think that's also vacant. A member of the undergraduate student senate. Is that vacant?
It's vacant. Both.
And what about graduate student? That's vacant. 2 members of the Division of Student Affairs. I think Chad is one, and he's missing.
And then Kim.
No, Kim is from Victims Support Services. So who are the 2 members from Student Affairs? Chad and who else?
Oh, Barb has left, so she's also.
Okay, so that's also vacant. We do have a quorum. Kim is here. Mary Catherine is here. Okay, so we definitely have a quorum from the university. Let's do the city now. Service safety director.
That's
It's
Andy, right?
Yeah, and Andy's missing, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's
Tom Pyle right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so
he's
he probably
not
doesn't.
here.
Okay, but let's say it's missing. Member of city council, that's you, Sarah, right?
Yes.
2 at-large members from city neighborhoods.
I think they're both vacant.
Vacant, yeah.
We do have a quorum. What about Chamber of Commerce? That's you, Josh, right?
I was just for the Athens uptown community, and I'm not sure,
That's not even listed. Oh,
Not even
You're
seeing that on
listed.
here.
So I'm actually on the city does have a website that has listed all of the members. I don't think it's completely current because Liesel is still listed on here, and I'm pretty sure that she resigned. She had to resign, or she chose to resign. I mean,
She moved.
yeah, that's what I thought, that she'd moved. There's listed on here for the city. There's Peter Kemeny, Maria, Allie Rapp Lee, Corin Smith, Josh Thomas. You're listed as Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And then Sarah. Now that's interesting. Sarah, you're listed as a permanent member, which is, I'm not sure why the website is set up that way, because the service safety director and the deputy service safety director are both listed as permanent. But I thought the city council member could change based on 3-year terms, the same as everybody else. But apparently you've been appointed permanently.
I'm going to have to sign off very quickly. So we need to decide, what do we want to do about this? Do we want to call a July meeting and have a vote, or do we want to decide who the officers are now?
So we had last time in our meeting talked about how the charter had to be approved by the president and
the mayor.
before we can act upon it.
That's right.
Correct?
So you are so, I think you are totally right. I think until we get this charter approved, we probably can't even choose. Is that right? We can't choose who the officers are.
Poor Chad.
Poor me.
For you.
I mean,
Okay.
I think we can decide if we are okay with the changes and okay with moving it to the president.
Let's do that. Let's vote. Excellent. Let's vote. How about we'll do it backwards? Let's say, does anyone vote no on the current state of the charter? Okay, so that means we pass it on to the president and the mayor, right? I'll have Chad do that. I will send it to Chad, and I'll CC everybody. I will send out a clean copy of the charter tomorrow morning, and tell Chad what we decided, that we passed, that we voted on this, but we until we get the charter approved, we couldn't vote on new leadership.
That makes sense.
Yep, I think Maria's right. That's what we discussed at the last meeting that had to happen.
Okay. See, Chad thought he could get out of it, but boy. Okay, well, thank you. You guys made this a pleasure. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yep, thank you for stepping up, Jackie.
Yes, thank you for this endless term.
The term that may never end. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I guess we'll see each other next month to just vote on officers.
Maybe whenever the announcement of that meeting goes out, the reminders, a highlighted asterisk stars, please attend. We need to elect officers, and officers may be nominated in absentia.
Yes, we'll say that. You may find
encourage people to show up so that they're not appointed to a role just because they're not there. Not that we would, but just like it would be really nice to get a few more people participating in the decisions.
Yeah, it will. But as you pointed out, I mean, going through this, I realized I think a majority of positions are vacant. I think a majority, or at least at the university level, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like to me, maybe we should try and get that list of, like, on the university side and the city side, what is vacant. Maybe just to bring that to Hugh, now it's Hugh Sherman, to his attention and to Steve's attention. I'm just thinking Steve may say, gosh, I didn't even realize there were that many, and maybe we can get some of those filled in the next month or so also.
Okay.
I can almost say that the university side, it's probably not going to happen till August, because that's when all the ones go out for all committees, all organizations.
Well, let me also point out, if we think we have a problem with leadership, the university really has a problem with leadership. So who knows when the president of the university is going to okay this charter? Who knows?
Yeah, I will work with Patty Whitmer in the mayor's office and make sure that we have a current list of who is actively on from the city's list, and then also make sure that Patty and the mayor are aware of which vacancies we have.
Okay, so let me make sure I have everything that I want to tell Chad. Number one, he needs to know that most of the positions at the university are currently vacant. So he needs to talk to whoever the president of the university happens to be at the moment.
Well, Jennifer Kirksey's who manages that. He just needs to talk to Jennifer Kirksey.
She's the chief of staff, right? She's his chief of staff. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer Kirksey. Also, let him know that we approve the charter. It now needs approval of the mayor and the university president, and we need to meet in July to choose officers. And we really we have to have a quorum there to choose the new officers. Okay.
Sarah, I noticed as well on the website that it's got 6 p.m. as our meeting time. That needs to be updated as well. I'm not sure who's responsible for that.
Well,
but
our Ryan from Government Channel is listening in and said he could update what's on the website. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's on the board and commission's homepage kind of thing, not on the section. I don't think that you click to.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll see each other next month. And I will send out an email in the morning to Chad, and everyone will be copied on the email. I'll send it out to all of JPAC and let him know what we did. Okay. See you in July.
Hey.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, all.
Everybody, thanks so much.
Bye.